Welcome, everyone. You have arrived at the Awakened Mother Show, a very safe space for mothers and fathers and people outside on the leading edge to come together in a very safe, real, uncensored, unfiltered space where dialogues about how to activate your highest potential as a person, as a parent, as a human in the world is presented with these wonderful guests that I have the honor of dialoguing with, people that are leaders in every field and those that are trudging the happy road of parenting in the trenches day in and day out. And today I'm really excited to share with you a very special person. I know his family for a long time, and his work is really beautiful. His name is Bobby Brown, and he was born and raised in Los Angeles. And Bobby is a husband, father, community leader, and founder. In 2019, Bobby founded Donuts with Dads, a father support group aiming to empower fathers by fostering self-care and mutual support. Drawing from his experiences at the Agape International Spiritual Center, Bobby designs opportunities for fathers to heal and embrace authenticity while valuing vulnerability and connection among men. His 2022 campaign for Inglewood City Council led him to being highlighted this year in the LA Times for his dedication to both healing and building community. Bobby is living outside of Los Angeles right now with his wife, Yanni, their 4 children, and their dog, Happy. And I just invite you to put your hands together and help me welcome Bobby Brown to the stage. Yeah. And the crowd goes wild.
Thank you for that lovely intro. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for the work that you are doing. I may have shared with you when we were sitting together at Agape for that magnificent Youth Sunday in which you delivered a powerful message about how inspiring it is to see you gathering the men and helping them to feel a part of this process called parenting and to be able to be in a space where they can be vulnerable. What led you to create that?
Necessity. I needed it. Parenthood, right? It pushes you to limits unknown. It pushes you to places you've never had to pull from, depths you've never had to pull from. And when we had our twins in 2017, transitioning through that and learning really what the postpartum process was and how to support my wife best in getting through that time. I witnessed her going through groups and having community around motherhood. And that was something I realized she would go off and do and enjoy and then come back and be full again, ready for life, ready for whatever it was that was coming with the kids. So through witnessing that and through the support of my mother-in-law, Kimberly Durden, I was able to realize what I needed because I had seen it. I've witnessed it, not for me, but I've witnessed that this community could be built. So I went looking for it, couldn't find it. My mother-in-law was like, all right, well, here's my space. When are you doing it? And I was like, yeah, it'll happen. And I never found anything, so I had to create it. And it was out of necessity.
It's beautiful. I love it. I really do, because number one, it takes so much courage to step out and say, I'm creating a space. Come join me, and to hold that space, even when nobody else shows up. And I remember in 2004, when I first began doing parenting, I was one of maybe a handful of people that were doing it, and I really didn't have the dad perspective because I was a mom. And so, and I used to say, like, to my husband, I would say, oh, why don't you get together with the guys? And most of the dads, maybe they did it once or twice, right? And then they're like, I'm good, I got this, you know. And so for you to do that, I mean, first of all, your wife is amazing. What she went through, being in bed rest and being, like what she went through to deliver, to bring these beautiful babies into the world is so like such mama power.
Yeah.
And then what was so amazing for me, I'm going to jump here for a second,
Yeah.
because what was so amazing to me was to see you like in the photos that were posted. You would be right there supporting her, or with, with your oldest child. And it was just like, wow, what a beautiful family, what a beautiful, man, to be there supporting his wife and his kids like that. And then to have Kimberly, and then Ami. It's like you've got like the jackpot of amazing women around.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And it was I quickly realized the rare air I was in
Right.
with the women that I was surrounded with, and with the family overall, but the powerful women in this family.
Yeah.
Um, so I quickly, and even it's always been women led. My mother, Reverend Arlene, like I've
Yeah.
been very wise in understanding a woman's intuition and just the power that you all possess. So I was quick to realize I was in a room and just in a space and in a family of I need to be in the back and
Mhm.
listen. And that allowed me to show up in the ways that you just spoke about, because I realized I couldn't do that.
Mm.
I couldn't do any of that.
Yeah, yeah. And yet what's so beautiful is that you showed up in a way that is so important, like being, holding that container in such a powerful way by doing your own inner expanded work, like by being present and vulnerable.
Yeah, yeah,
And
and that's when the magic happens.
yeah, how did was so was your dad in present like that? And what did you learn about yourself as you started down this donuts with dad's journey?
Yeah, so it was actually the opposite. So I was raised by my mother until I was about 5, just my mother, and then my stepfather came into my life at that point. He's been around ever since. Um, Love him. He loves me. I know the love, right? And I
Right,
feel the love, but in the way of, um, I don't want to call it old school masculinity, but
right, right.
in the
Yeah.
way of past generations and the ways that they express themselves. So during the journey for me of becoming a father, I did a lot of um, forgiveness work, and
Hmm.
a lot of it was built around my biological father, who was in my life in and out forever. It's been a couple years now since I've spoken to him, but growing up, he was around, kind of. And
Hmm.
becoming a father, part of the work that we did in the classes, it was at the sanctuary at the time, but through Kim and through the services that she's always been connected to, um, a lot of the work we had to do was our birth story,
Hmm.
figuring out what that was. So it was a lot of me asking questions to my mother and figuring out that my father was not around. It was more of like a drop off at the hospital and I'll see you later type of thing.
Wow.
So in that, it was more of like a lot came from it, right? I had to inner child work that. I came into the world, father not in the room. Like, okay, well, there's clearly right away trauma.
Right.
So realizing that through that, also realizing that my father at the time was just a man,
Hmm.
just this person
Hmm.
uh, who was probably still more present than what he had growing up, right?
Right.
And I
Right.
had to quickly, you know, have empathy and
Hmm.
compassion towards him
Hmm.
for me to be able to get past that and not let, and like I don't even like, to me those aren't wounds I'm healing anymore, right? And it's because I was able to see more so of what I didn't want, and have the tools on my tool belt
Hmm.
so that I can combat, following down the same path. So it was more of what. I didn't see, and realizing that if I continue to do those things, it's going to have the same result.
Mm-hmm.
My stepfather was around. He was more of the provider, right?
Right.
I'm not going to see the emotions. All I'm going to really see are, anger, tiredness,
Mm-hmm.
exhaustion. I'm not going to see love. I'm not going to feel it. I'm not going to hear it. But it's there. It's weird, but it's a thing, right? And I
Yeah.
think that's most people's experiences until recent. That's kind of how humanity has been. Um, for men specifically. And I
Right.
think for me, I was quickly able to say, all right, cool. I've never seen my stepfather talk to another father about fatherhood. I've never seen my father be proud of being a father, my biological.
Mm.
And I've never seen these things, and I've never heard them talk to other people about their feelings or emotions or even trying to better themselves. It was more of like, I show up, I provide, you're
Right.
welcome. And like, for me, that was beautiful. But now I look at it and I'm like, okay, my kids only know me having this group of men that I speak to at least once a week.
Wow.
Like they think now I'm doing dad's group. They see me going away from everybody and they're like, oh, dad's group, right? And that's an amazing thing because I remember, I don't know, 2 years into this, my oldest was like, well, can I get a friends group? Like, can I get a group of friends together and we could talk about how we feel? I was like, yes, do it.
Wow.
Like do it. And for them to see that as normal,
Mm-hmm.
it's beautiful. I need to do better with speaking my emotions to them directly
Right.
and kind of showing up vulnerably in to them, but they
Mm-hmm.
know that I'm doing it, right? They know that it is a um, part of my being is being vulnerable with men at that. So I think it was more so of what I didn't have versus what I saw and what I was trying to replicate, and then mixed with agape. I mean,
Yeah.
growing up in the world without any, I always believed in God, and I always had like an understanding of this being and this
Mm-hmm.
energy and the source. But
Mm-hmm.
I had been in and out of churches. I had family that was religious, but I never connected to anything.
Right.
And then at 17, 18, 19, somewhere around there, The Secret comes out. Agape's everywhere. My girlfriend at the time is going, so I go with her and her family. And instantly in the teen room, we're, we're literally just going around in a circle talking about how we feel.
Right.
What? And like for me, that was like, I've never experienced this. And then you walk in there and everybody else is doing it. And I realized quickly, once you see other people be vulnerable, it hurts more to not be.
Mm.
Easier to
Mm.
do, right? It feels better to do it because you're like, oh, I want to join that party.
Yeah.
And all I do in dad's group, this all started at Kindred Space in a circle so that we can contain our children in the middle and they're playing with toys. And we are going around and I would say, give me a challenge and give me a positive thing from your week. That was it. And then, boom, 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 things happen. People say this, I did that, advice here, advice there. And it was being able to intersect what I knew I didn't want to be in fatherhood with the things that made me the happiest,
Mm.
which was
Mm.
agape and just being able to have that community. And I was able to kind of mix the two, and there we are.
Beautiful. It's really, I'm so, when I hear you, when I hear you talk about what led you in your own journey, I'm so moved. I'm so touched that a lot of people might have an idea, but you were moved. When we talk about moved by a vision or pulled by insight, it's like that desire to have that for yourself. And I love what you shared about your child, because you've created a new legacy in your family. Like, what a powerful, profound legacy to have created, that your child wants to create a friends group where they talk about feelings. I was like, that's what greater gift is there? Like, my work is done.
Right.
To have that opportunity and to do that because you're modeling it.
Yeah.
You're literally modeling it. You know, your kids see you and Yanni the way that you interact. Your kids see you having your feelings and going with this group of people, the men that come together. So what was it like for the dads? Like what
Yeah.
was it, you know, what's that been like?
um it's funny because what you talked about earlier of like you get the dads together, they might do it once, they might do it twice, right? And I think that is a combination of things. One, it's typically the moms putting them
Right.
together. That already it's already a recipe for failure. Um,
Exactly. Yeah.
Next, it's also the fact that if we enjoy it too much, we feel guilty. So it's something that we want to do, but we don't. There's so much ego involved where we want to do it, but it's something you presented, so we don't want
Right.
them to feel like they have a say over the group or how I'm interacting with, and then we do feel guilty, right? Mom guilt's a thing, so is dad guilt. And
Mm,
when we don't have that community, it's easy for us to say, "Oh, you have these things and we don't."
right.
And I think as men, we like to have something in our back pocket. That's just an ego thing. That's just how we work. And I think it's always easier for us to lean on the fact of I don't have an outlet, therefore how can you expect me to express or do something like that, right?
Right.
And once dads came to me, it took a while. Like there was dads mainly through who were going through Kindred and their services, and hey, this is another resource we have. Mom goes to group, dad, you should come to this group. Then it quickly became a place on Saturdays for new dads to come for the first time. A lot of dads, it was their first time out of the house with just them and child. And then but they had to trick themselves into believing they were doing it to give mom time, right? So it was never I'm going because I want to and I need it.
Mhm,
Right? Not at
mhm.
the beginning. Not at the beginning. And even for me, it was like I'm doing this thing for the community.
Right.
When in reality, it's the most selfish thing I've ever done, and I'm so grateful.
Mhm.
I think for a lot of the dads, it was great. The ones who were ready to do the work. Like first year and a half, I was just like, hey, we're here. We have donuts. We have coffee. I was really just trying to figure out what it was. I want people to be happy when we're here. I want the kids to play because COVID wasn't a thing. And we were able to just meet. And then it was surface level. It never really got too intense. Although there are a good amount of dads who were literally at the first, like maybe 3 meetings that are still part of the community today,
Ah, that's cool.
which is awesome. They've had multiple children now, and that was their first child. So I was always the youngest from the beginning, and I always had the most children from the beginning. So it put me in a position of them thinking I knew what I was doing. I didn't know. Um, so
And that's a lot to carry, by the way. To
yeah,
get like for when people you know, give you that mantle, like, oh,
yeah,
you're the one, then it's like, oh, I gotta, you know, I gotta hold that.
right. Like what? No, no, no. And when we hit COVID, it became more of I saw the work. I saw the fruits of my labor. I saw the real, oh, you just talked me off a ledge. Because
Mm,
if we were all so vulnerable, every day we woke up because we had no idea what was happening.
right.
So we woke up raw. And then you're in the house. You're not having the outlet to go to work, which dad mostly does, right? Dad usually is gone, right? In a
Right. Traditional corporate.
traditional, right?
Yeah.
Pre-COVID, especially. Um, Dad's gone, and we don't realize. We like to complain about that, but we also don't realize how much of a benefit that is for us to be able to leave the house and come back and do those things.
Right.
So I had people calling me directly, one on one, and just saying like, "Yo, what do I do? How does this work?" So we got way more intimate, way more vulnerable, and we really started to the real work started to happen once COVID hit. Um,
Mm,
and it most people now when they come virtual, they're stuck, right? They're stuck as long as they're willing to do the work, and they don't shy off from our accountability. They don't shy off from how open we are. and they're ready to do the work, they tend to stay. We've had a few people come one time, even tell me, hey, it's not for me and whatever it is. And great, cool, awesome. But this group is here.
Yeah.
And I've had people be gone for a year or two, and then come back because they finally hit a breaking point. And I've had people come every week consistently. So I think it, for a lot of people, has become a brotherhood because we do a lot of things outside together. I've held retreats where we're spending weekends, multiple days with each other. We're cooking for each other. We genuinely have this real love for each other. My best friends today, who I have multiple group chats with and like who I'm calling every day on my way home from work, are my friends from this group who I did not know
Wow.
before this group.
Wow.
And like I said before, like being the youngest, I had all of my friends that they didn't have children yet. So as they did later in life, I had this community ready for them already. And it allowed me to reconnect with old friends. Some of my best friends from high school are now part of this group, and we're able to see each other in different lights. And I don't know, this group, I think for the dads, has become, for some people, it's just an outlet. For others, it's a community that is just there when they're bored, right? We come here, we laugh, we talk sports, we do a lot of that kind of stuff. Then there's some who are here to just give to the community. It's everything for a lot of people. And it, for me specifically, has been a lifesaver. It's been my motivation on some days. And it's kind of been what for me has really shown me to myself in a different light. I was able to see myself as a leader through creating this group and through showing up in this group. And that's allowed me to excel in other aspects of my life over this past 5 years. So, long-winded answer, but I think for a lot of the dads, it's a lot of different things.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's a community and a space of love, and no judgment for most dads.
It's wonderful. It's such a gift. And you spoke about leadership in other areas. And so I have so many questions, but one of them is, so what was it that led you to run for Inglewood City Council?
Oh man, craziest thing I've ever done. That's for sure. A multitude of things. Yanni and I, my wife, we've often talked about. She's always seen me in a way I've never seen myself, or I hadn't seen myself. Right? She would always talk about, well, you could definitely like do politics, and you can be a leader of this, and you can do that. And I'm like, get out of here! Like that's not my life. It's nowhere close to me. And then I had a friend of mine, Aviv, who is the same type of visionary, who can see people's potential and see it in real time. And he's also like this savant, just like forward thinker. And he had this crazy idea of, hey, there's a huge vulnerability in Inglewood politics. This incumbent has not had an opponent in 10 years. And why don't we do it? This is the numbers. This is the demographic. Here's why you can do it. And he pitched me to me.
Wow.
And like, that's crazy. Get out of here. I'm not doing that. And then it's nice to openly talk about this now because I couldn't, during the campaign, people are like, why are you doing this? And you have to have like I'm doing it because I genuinely want to have change and blah, 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 but not, this is like the real behind the scenes of how it got led to that. And at Easter, we had this huge party at a community park. He just started going around telling people I was running, and it was in our district. Everyone was happy, coming up to me, shaking my hand, letting me know I had their support. And I was like, okay, this
is on.
This can be a thing.
Yeah.
And I was already at a place in my career where I was over it. Like I already knew I wanted something different. My passions weren't the same. And I was like, all right, I'm working from home right now. We're homeschooling the children. Let's give this thing a shot. And the way that others poured into me I was like,
Mm.
I can't, I have to. People were not working so that they can drive me around
Wow.
and take me to meetings and donate their money to me. And I had Grammy Award winning singers willing to perform at my campaign parties. And like, it was mind blowing. So when that happens, right, the agape way is to say yes.
Right.
So I surrendered all the anxiety, all the stress. And I really started to see how change can happen. Because I've been very broken by our system, right? So it's very hard to see that change can actually happen. And then
Right.
you're doing it, and you're like, oh well, everyone starts out like this. At some point,
Hmm.
big corporation is going to come donate money to me, and I'm going to take it. And that's what I was going up against. So I
Right.
did not want to become that. And Inglewood's small enough to where you can have a real grassroots opportunity. Um, and so yeah, that's what led to me doing it, was the belief of others, and surrendering to the vision, and a lot of work. That was the deepest meditation I've done, like during that time. Yeah, man, that was wild.
Do you think you'll run for office again? Is that something like? Do you have a vision? Yes, you do. Oh,
I
look at
do.
that.
I do.
Yeah.
And again, it's not because I have the urge to right now, but it's because
Mhm.
others are telling me that I am. And those others are my mentors. Those others are Reverend Leon. Those others are my wife, who it was not the best campaign experience for her.
Mm.
But
Why? What? What?
it was rough on the family. Like
Right.
I was home, but I wasn't home. I was out shaking hands, knocking on doors. I was out at campaign events. I was at panels and rubbing elbows with these people, and it was taking everything from me.
Right.
Um, and she also just knew at the end. She has this vision, this intuition that I wasn't gonna win, and like that. But that wasn't the point. Like,
Right.
I was going up against a juggernaut, and it was a very slim chance that I was going to win. I did
Hmm.
have a record voting turnout at Inglewood, out of Inglewood, which was because there had never been a competition before. And I let the incumbent know that, yo, you might see me again in 4 years. Like, I'll be back. Which makes him actually have to own up to things that he promises. He has to care about what the people want now,
Right.
because his job's on the line, or could be. Um, so yeah, it was really rough on her, really rough on the family. But to answer your question, I do believe that I will, maybe not politics, but I will be elected to something
Hmm. Hmm.
because I'm able to speak from experience, of things that I know that need to happen. So maybe it's school board, maybe it's, I don't know, city council, whatever it is. But I live closer to DC now, so I can learn some things, and I have that. There's people here who are actually eager to introduce me to that world. But I'm now looking at my career a little differently as well, my day to day career, as well as my dad's group. So I want to keep building these things, um, and being present for my family. And then over time, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I do feel like that was not my last opportunity to at politics, my last
That's
shot.
wonderful.
Yeah.
That's so wonderful. So, at Agape, which for those that are listening and or watching, we're talking about the Agape International Spiritual Center, which was founded and is led by Michael Bernard Beckwith. That's where we both met, and uh, and one of the founding guiding principles of Agape is visioning, and
Yep.
so it's the life visioning process, which was caught and created by Michael Beckwith. So it's something that we all use in our practice of daily meditation. So, in keeping with that, do you have a vision? Is there something that's pulling you in this moment?
I love that we're having this conversation. This is exactly what I was hoping it would be like. Um,
Hmm.
yes, and I think it's not a clear picture per se. It's more of a feeling that
Mhm.
I'm like being pulled by.
Mhm.
Um, and I ask for clarity every morning, and I ask
Mhm.
for, I voice my deeper surrender every morning, and as I do that, it doesn't become easier to see, but it becomes easier to be in that flow, to be water, right?
Yeah.
Uh, to be in the flow state and to just move in it. Um, so yeah, to answer your question, I think it's more of being the example
Mm.
of what I want to see in the world, and having my kids be the result of that, and having them kind of spawn off. Just I have no fear when it comes to them in the world, because
Mm.
they are very what they've witnessed, what they've seen as parent. What the way I look at it is like my parent. I love my parents.
Right.
I love my stepfather. I love my mother. I love them dearly. The way that we are raising our children are it's very different than how I was raised.
Yeah.
And I feel like I came out okay, and I'm very grateful for how I was raised. But to imagine myself being raised the way that I'm raising my children, I couldn't even, like, what? So so I'm very excited for that. And I think that's my duty right now, right? I'm young enough to where when my youngest is grown, I'm still able to go fulfill these things, these politics and other things like that.
Yeah.
Um, so my vision is more of a, especially when it comes to my father's group, when Donuts with Dads, it's more of a life for myself in which I am showing up 100% myself in every aspect. And there's a lot of intersection, and there is no compartmentalization, and there is just pure harmony across my life.
Mm.
And I used to call it protecting my peace. That's kind of what I was focused on, because as a youth, I really had to protect my peace and keep myself safe and kind of be my own safe space a lot of times.
Can you say more about that?
Yeah, I mean, childhood was rocky. There was a lot of independency that I had to grow into very quickly. Um, family dynamic is my mother is white, my father is black. In the 80s, with my grandparents from Oklahoma, and it was just very different, right?
Right.
And my grandparents came from different places, and just it was different. So I was the well, I have biracial cousins as well, but I was primarily the only biracial person in my family for a while. I have a full brother who is Caucasian, and my mom had him. My mom was the black sheep of the family, so she had already had this energy from her family, that kind of made her life harder, right?
Mm.
So she was very strong. She is very strong. To this day, right now, she's battling and recovering from a neck surgery, and she's like, "Hurry up, let me get back to working." So she's very much that person, but with
Right.
that hustle, she also taught me the golden rule, and that's kind of how I have led my life, which is treat others the way you want to be treated. And
Mhm.
she got that from experiencing being treated how she didn't want to be treated, right?
Right.
She has always led with love, one of the biggest hearts I've ever witnessed, despite what she went through and despite what was her circumstance at the time.
Mhm.
So I witnessed all of that at a very young age, and going through the struggles with her until we
Right.
came across my stepfather, and it was just a lot of shakiness, a lot of stuff that a lot of inner child work that it led to for me,
Yeah.
and I'm still doing. But I through that work, I realized quickly that, oh, I put up this block because it kept me safe. I stopped
Right.
having expectations because my dad wouldn't show up when he said he would. I stopped, um, really thinking like, okay, yeah, things will be better tomorrow, because it wasn't always better, and started appreciating the now, right? So I started already incorporating these. universal principles into my life that I, at the time, I had no idea what I was doing. I was protecting my peace, is how I looked at it.
Right.
Um, and you grow up as you get older. Hey, oh man, I love this person. Oh, we broke up. Oh, I'm broken. Hey, maybe if I don't love, I can't be broken. Wonderful.
Mhm.
And just going down that path, which is great. To
Right.
understand how it works, awesome. There needs to be balance. So actually, not until recently did I didn't start until recently really seeking my joy. So I'm
Mm.
really good at protecting my peace. I'm really good at cutting people off because they hurt me, or cutting people and feeling completely fine about it. But I wasn't having a joyful life, right?
Right.
So I recently, through people in my dad's group and the resources and the tools they bring to this collective, I've been able to learn to channel that into protecting my joy. And so now I'm doing a lot of joy work, and that's led to the group doing a lot of joy work because it's what I'm learning. And it, it's guided me in a way that has allowed me to fulfill that passion of showing up as my best self, as opposed to growing up in my industry. Oftentimes I've been the only black person in the office, so it makes me work a different way and show up a different way and talk a different way and protect myself in different ways. And that was exhausting because now I come home and I'm exhausted, not just from work, but also from wearing this mask and pretending and having the shell on. Um,
Wow.
so for me, the vision is for me to be able to completely have none of that, and just show up as myself. And this is what you get. And I've realized when I do that, I'm showing up as my best self. I'm not
Yes.
something to be ashamed of. I'm not something that I feel like is threatening, although people may be threatened from time. But once we talk and have a conversation, I'm not threatening. I'm actually, I love you. like, like that's what it comes down to. So I realized through genuine relationships, what I really want out of life is to be able to live in a way that allows me to just wake up and show up and lead that way, so my children feel that and
Mhm.
can come from that and live in that. So yeah, that took us a lot of
Powerful.
yeah,
To be fully authentically you
yeah,
in all of your beauty, in all of your splendor, and all, like, I love that. And everywhere you go, it's
every
very powerful what you just shared. My husband is also, his mom was white and his dad was black.
yeah,
And so, he's biracial, our daughter's biracial. So, I understand, I hear you. And so it's really quite the, when those of us that take the agape teachings into our heart and our soul, there's a quality and there's an energy and a vibrational frequency that we continue to live from. And I hear it in you, because it's just like you said, how initially the dad's group was for you,
yeah,
right? And then all of a sudden it's like the vision, the vision pulls, because there's this download of the vision. Oh my gosh, I caught it. This is it. I'm being propelled and compelled and to do that. And
yeah,
then all of a sudden it becomes a way of life. We live to give
yeah.
instead of take. And to want to pass that on to your children is such a, again, I'm just going to use the word legacy. I mean, you are a living legacy to your children and to Yanni. I mean, you're both doing it together, which is just it's so beautiful.
That's the best part about it, right? Getting to witness the person you are spending your life with follow their vision,
Yeah.
regardless of anything.
Yeah.
And I quickly learned that from her because it's been you know what it's like becoming a mother
Yeah.
and having your life not be yours for a while, and
Yeah.
kind of like, and watching her navigate through that. First off, giving birth and just being pregnant, no, but like it's and to do it for multiple times, to do it for our children to be healthy, because she treated them right and did what she had to do despite of how miserable she was. And witnessing all of that and seeing her become, and now becoming herself again from that. The children now in school, so she has all this time where she's like, who
I
needs me?
know.
I need me. Be there for yourself. You need you.
Right.
And that's where she's at now, and it's beautiful to witness, because it allows me to be like, yeah, I'm doing that too. Let's do that. And we need to do that.
Yeah.
And it needs to happen, or else we won't have longevity
Right.
just together, but with ourselves. And I think seeing, like I said, seeing her go to those groups really was like, I want those groups. And now
Mhm.
she leads her own mother's group. She has Motherhood Unplugged, which
Yes.
is doing the same thing. But she knew that she needed to graduate out of the Kindred Space Moms group, because they were like new babies, right? She's
Right.
like, how do I get back to me? And that's now what they're navigating through. And we've been able to go back and forth with the inspiration, go back and forth with supporting each other. I'll go work for this decade where you don't have to really worry about that and just focus on what you're doing, and then we'll mix it in. And it's been amazing to witness, and doing it with someone who has the understanding of agape and the same, understanding that I have of things. And she's super connected spiritually. It's ridiculous. So I'm very grateful to witness that and be as close to it as I am. And like I said before, I was being in this family of these women. I'm very aware of the rare air that I am breathing, and I need
Mhm.
to just be and allow it to happen. And we lead each other, and it's a beautiful existence. I'm so grateful for
Mm.
um, how things are happening and how they're unfolding and where we're going and where we've been and where we are. And it's
Right.
just awesome.
Ah, beautiful. Well, thank you. Thank you for all you shared. I know that we're going to have more conversations.
Yes.
And that I just keep hearing Spirit say, so if there was a message that you would like to impart to those people that are listening, be they women, be they men, be they moms, be they dads, what is it? What would you like to pass on?
Be gentle with yourself. Tell yourself that you love yourself every single day. Look in the mirror and let yourself know that you love yourself. Um, if for some reason you don't feel like you are loving yourself that day, that's okay. Don't be scared to talk about it. You're not the only one who feels that way.
Mm.
Um, and enjoy it. We're here for a short amount of time. Enjoy this human experience. It's a blessing to be living this human experience. We aren't these bodies. We aren't these humans. And it's just so much more enjoyable when you're able to realize that. These bodies are not permanent, but you are. These bodies are not here forever, but you are. So just enjoy being in these bodies and being in this human existence and expression of God, um, and just surrender to it, because you give one shot. So enjoy it while you can.
Well said. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Bobby. How can people reach you?
Yeah. Best way, honestly, is on Instagram, Donuts with Dads, on IG. I'm also Bobby Overflow, my personal Instagram. And then my Donuts with Dads email is donutswithdadsla@gmail. I'm pretty active on that. If you send me an email, I'm going to send you one right back. So, yeah, those are the best ways to get to me.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for being here. Thank you again for catching this vision and moving forward with it, and for being such a powerful example of what people, especially dads, can have, the experience that they can have of transforming their lives, of healing and
Yeah.
transforming and growing and glowing and having joy. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you. My is absolutely my joy, and I'll make sure everybody has a way to connect. So
Beautiful.
hang on, don't go anywhere.
Okay.
Okay, so everybody, I hope that you got to feel what a magnificent human Bobby is, and you got to hear about what it's like when you catch a vision to move forward in your life. And as we bring this particular episode to a close, I want you to remember those three things that I say to you: that you are powerful beyond measure, loved beyond description, and a force for good in the world. So go forth and spread your magic. Peace and many blessings to you. We will see you next time. Remember to like and share. And then there's also a link if you want to have some deeper conversation. There's a link where you can connect with me. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.